Stress is disease. It is at epidemic proportions in the world and is increasing all over the place. How to manage it? Well, how do we feel when we're stressed? Well, we feel stressed. It's as simple as that, isn't it? How do we find instant relief from the stress? And how do we manage it? One of the things I think is very, very, very important to understand is that stress is never going to go away until massive, massive, massive changes have occurred in the world. So, as things stand at the moment, and in the foreseeable future, we are actually going to be challenged to deal with increasing levels of stress. And we're going to have to adapt to those increasing levels of stress. So, stress, the triggers for stress are actually on the increase. But the way we respond to those triggers is what we do have control over and what we can manage. So the real question is, how do I implement those strategies swiftly and immediately when the triggers occur? And how do I exist in a state of being that allows me to absorb and immediately dissolve any of those triggers? Okay? So how do we do that? Well, the first thing we have to do is learn to breathe. We have to learn to breathe correctly, and that means deep, rhythmic, constant breaths where we are consciously focused on our in-breath and our out-breath. Evenly breathing all the way in, evenly breathing all the way out. What that does is regulate the homeostasis. That means it balances our central nervous system. You see, the central nervous system has two sides to it, positive and negative, a masculine and feminine, a stimulating and a calming side to it, a sympathetic and a parasympathetic side to it. And we need to balance that. That's called homeostasis when it's in balance. So how do we do that? We do it through the breath. Long, slow, rhythmic breathing, deep, rhythmic, easy breathing, relaxed breathing from the belly, in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth, is the way to create a biological situation and state of being where you can absorb the stress triggers easily and effectively. Most of us are in a state of shock and some kind of trauma. Most of us are walking around with our flight, fright, fight mechanism engaged. That means biologically and chemically we are in the biochemical state of fight, fright or flight. That means we're ready to fight or we're going to run away. That's the consequence of being stressed. And we're all traumatized to some degree just by being born into this world. We've inherited trauma from our ancestors, from our parents. Anyone who's been to war is dreadfully traumatized. Anyone who's been to school in this modern world is traumatized within themselves. And so it just goes with the deal. So breathing evenly and rhythmically helps us to create a biochemical situation where that trauma, which is kind of fixed, our central nervous system, the balance between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic gets stuck, and we can bring some flux into that through the deep breathing and get that regulated, okay? And the most effective form of breathing, if you really want the quick fix, and we can do this right now, is alternate nostril breathing. So if you just put your right thumb on your left nostril and your middle finger on your forehead like this, and breathe in through your left nostril, as deeply as you can, and then close your left nostril with this finger and breathe out through your right nostril. Then breathe in through your right nostril. Switch. Close your right nostril with your thumb. Breathe out through your left. Just let it go. Breathe in again through the left. Close with your fourth finger, your left nostril. Breathe out through your right. Breathe in through your right. Close your right, exhale through your left. And see how you feel. Feel that? Amazing, huh? Alternate nostril breathing. Just practice that. Do 3 at any one time as a minimum and completely shift your state. Central nervous system. That deep breathing actually activates the parasympathetic system, specifically through the vagus nerve. Comes down from the brain, down the spine, and then through the back of the spine into the center of the chest through the solar plexus. The vagus nerve is like a big wire. It's supposed to be carrying electricity, parasympathetic energy from the brain. If you're not breathing deeply, rhythmically from the belly, there's no energy, no electricity going into your solar plexus. That means your digestive system, your endocrine system, which is all your hormones, your bowels, your lungs, and many other systems are not getting the electricity that they require. What does that create? That creates stress. You can get sure of it. So fundamentally, the only way to manage stress is to change your state. Primarily through the breath, the rhythm of your breath, and then support it with your posture. How are you standing? How are you sitting? And then, what are you thinking and how you're thinking? You need to be able to think positive thoughts. Now, positive thoughts, just simply having a positive mental attitude, is extremely limited if it's not rooted in an authentic sense of self. That means if you just think you're this little person in the world dealing with an increasingly hostile environment in terms of this modern civilization, the way things are going, the way things are breaking down, the way people are breaking down, the way the masses are breaking down, the way the mass body of civilization is breaking down. Granted, many individuals all over the place, lives are changing in the most wonderful ways. But it's not happening as a consequence of what's happening in the status quo. It's happening because those few individuals are on real hardcore programs and practices and following protocols and really getting hold of their lives. For instance, the superheroes on superhero training. And incidentally, the reason why we call it superhero training is because everyone's a hero just about for just showing up in this world right now. But that's not enough just to show up. You really have to go to the next level and embody, be an embodiment of the kind of world that you want to be seeing in the future. We hear a lot about this heaven on earth, paradise on earth possibility. Or do you think people are going to be stressed walking around in that kind of a reality? Absolutely not. So if you want the world to change, you have to be, your state has to change. You have to embody the change. If you want a peaceful world, then you have to be walking around in a peace-filled way. The only real way to do that is to be rooted in your true inner nature, existing from your authentic inner being. And that takes practice, 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 practice to come from that place. So a positive mental attitude isn't enough. You have to know who you are and be sure of that. That identity is a spiritual identity. You're a spiritual being. You're a soul. You express through a physical body. You're not a physical body that has a soul. You don't have a soul. You are soul. You see? And when you exist from that certainty within you, and you breathe from the depth of that certainty, ever deepening depth from deep within you, then that dissolves stress instantaneously. So there you have it. 2 very important tips to help you manage stress very effectively. Breathe in, soft, gentle, deep, rhythmic breaths. Alternate nostril breathing. And the other one is to come from that place within you that is your true, authentic inner nature. And you can find out a lot more about that on the Superhero Training website. So, sending you many blessings. Breathe deep. Take it all with a grain of salt. Talk to you soon.